Okay, welcome back. So those of you who want to continue on these next few videos, I'm going to show you how to prepare this model of Kirby to be 3D printed so that you can actually send it off and have it printed and sent to your home so you can actually hold in your hand. Okay, so 3D printing, you have to optimize your models for them to be printed, and the tools are provided at the actual company that we're going to be sending it to. So the company that I have been working with the most is Shapeways, and they're an online web-based 3D printing service, and you can find them at shapeways.com. And we're going to prep him so that we can keep our costs down so it isn't a ridiculous cost for the materials, and also so that he's strong enough so that when he is printed he doesn't fall apart. So right now I'm going to walk you through sending him over to be 3D printed. Okay, so the first thing is, just by looking at him and we go to the corner here and we can see how big he is. He's basically 82 by 82, so it's 82 millimeters. So he's on the big side for a 3D printed model. And on top of that, right now, he is essentially solid. He's not hollow. And one of the things they do to, and I do to keep the costs of the making these models and these characters, is you hollow them out so that you don't have to pay for all that material, and that can really bring the cost down. Another thing you can do is we can shrink him down to a smaller size, so that also can have a big effect as well. Again, less material. So one of the things you should do first is you should set up an account at shapeways.com, which is really easy. It's completely free. If you're on the younger side, you need to ask your parents, but again, it's completely free. And you just go and you type in SHAPEWAY, Shapeways, and here you see Shapeways 3D printing service. You can click on it. So here's their main site. And so you can actually shop. There's lots of people that have printed items on here, and they can be things like gadgets, parts for drones, people who do robotics, accessories like iPhone cases, keychains, belts and buckles, music, and then you have jewelry, which is huge on here, art, accessories for your home, accessories for games, board games, toys, and then miniatures, which is essentially what we're going to do, is basically between a game, toy, and a miniature. But here's a good example of what you can do, this shark. And that's the same material that we're going to use to print out Kirby. So just go through the process of joining, which is pretty simple. Just they need an email address, pick a username, a password, and then join. And you can join through Facebook or with Google. It's very simple. No costs involved. Okay, so back to Kirby. So once you've signed in and you have your username and your password, now we're going to take him over to be 3D printed. Now I'm pretty sure it's probably going to have a few little issues initially, so I'll walk you through it right now and I'll show you how I deal with it. So we go up to design, go down to order a 3D print. Okay, just click on that and it's super easy. This pops up. Now these are 4 different 3D printing services. Now I've used Shapeways and Sculpteo, and they're both very good. Shapeways tends to have a bigger selection with metals, but since we don't have to worry about that, we're going to just be printing a color character. So I haven't tried iMaterialize or Pinocchio, but anyway, so click on Shapeways, and here it says order 3D print. So if you're printing something that you want to paint yourself, then you just click print 3D, and they would print it in a white material. You could pick a white material or a different color material, but he has color, so we want his color to come through. So we click on print 3D color. So they've transferred it. Now we want to continue to print. So if you're all logged in and signed in, if you click this, it'll probably ask for your username and password to log you in, and it'll remember that, which is very convenient. I've already done that, so when I do that, and here we are. So it's right now it's loading up the model, and there we go. He's popped in there, and it's still calculating. Sometimes it takes a few minutes, but here you can see in centimeters and inches. So in inches, he's 4.5 inches wide, 3.5 inches deep, and another 3.5 inches in height. So this is the material volume in cubic centimeters, and that's basically how it's calculating how much material is needed. So while it's still calculating, I'm going to show you the materials. So you have your strong and flexible plastic materials, and these are really good materials for things that you want to be able to be pretty strong. They're strong and they have some flexibility to them. These would be great for toys or anything that is going to require a lot of hard physical use. And you have them in white, black, all these different colors. The elastoplastic's really cool. It's almost like rubber, and you can do some neat things with that. Then you have the metallic plastics that have bits of, I want to say aluminum oxide or lumide. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. That are put into it that makes the plastic stronger. And then you have the acrylics. These are really good if you want to create things that you're going to create a mold from and then create lots of copies. It creates detail, picks up detail a lot better. And then the metals, these are good for jewelry, which we're not going to do now, but I will have a video popping up very soon about that. Precious metals, these can be on the expensive side. But you have a huge selection, everywhere from raw silver, go up to platinum. So it's pretty cool. So this is the material that we're going to use. It's called sandstone, and it's basically gypsum powder that when they lay down a layer when they're printing out the material, also applies an ink to it. So it actually is printing color. And this is right now the only material that prints multiple different colors. It comes out and looks pretty good. It's a little on the rough side, but the downside to the sandstone is it's really brittle. It's basically if you dropped it, it would break. So it's fine for figurines, things that you're going to look at but not going to be handling a lot. It's not good for toys. It just doesn't work well for that material. For that kind of use. You definitely want, if you want toys, you're going to be using plastics. Anyway, and then the very bottom you have castable wax, and this is for people that want to do their own casting, which creating their own molds. So they'll have something printed in wax, and then it'll be mailed to them, and then they can create molds from it, and that involves a different approach, and those are for people that are doing things that are much more complicated than I'm trying to show you how to do. Okay, so as you can see, view issues are popping up. That's basically saying there's issues with the model that aren't printable. We don't really care for this. The biggest reason is it's just too big for precious metals. Transparent detail, there's some issues. And you can see too the costs are crazy, and that's because it's very big and it's solid, which we're going to fix. But I wanted to walk you through this and show you how this works. Even the plastic, which is probably the cheapest material, $250. That's crazy. So the material we want the most is the full color sandstone. So sometimes this kind of gets stuck on this page, And I find if you just go up and you refresh or reload your page, stuff will pop up. Of course, it's making me look like a liar right now. So when this pops up, I'll start the video again. Okay, so it finally did its calculations and it actually passed. I was expecting some issues, but that's good. Since you guys were following me on video, I'm sure your models aren't exactly the same as mine, so you may have come up with a few issues. Give you an example. If we go up here to, let's say, the white plastic, we want to see what's the issue. Say if we were going to print it in white. So we can click on that, and up comes their 3D tools. And this is specifically for white, strong, and flexible. So on the side here, in the overview, a green check means it passed. This means there's an issue. All right, loose shells and wall thickness. Okay, so to see exactly what that is, you click on it. So it's saying wall thickness guidelines, and it's, so now if you look over here, here's the model, you can look around it, and green equals safe. This legend here will explain everything. Green equals safe, yellow is suspect, and blue means it's been fixed here. So in order to see that, if you can't see it directly, although I can, you can click on the number and it'll zoom into the problem area. All right, now I guess okay, here we go. So right here. So you can have this problem with the sandstone too. So what it's saying is it's suspect. That means it's it might be a little thin there. And if you look over here, you have your minimum supported wall thickness, 0.7 millimeters. So anything under that, it's worried that it won't be strong enough and it could fall apart or break. What I'm thinking this might be is the mouthpiece that we inserted in to create the darker background color, that was very thin and it wasn't fitting exactly inside the mouth. So one of the options you can do is you can go back into your Tinkercad file and you can kind of pull his mouth into an area, keep pulling it in so it's as close to the wall behind it as possible, so there's no space, and then it won't think of it as being a thin space behind there. It'll think it's one solid piece. And an even quicker way to deal with it would be just to delete this mouthpiece, background mouthpiece. If it's too difficult and you're having a hard time, I know sometimes the tongue felt like it was too. It may be too thin. So if your tongue looks too thin, you just need to select it back in your Tinkercad model and thicken it up a little bit. You can also try the fix tool. Well, the fix tool, when I played around with it, it tends to just put big blobs of material on it, and it just looks kind of weird. So we'll just try it out and see what it does. Okay, so it fixed it. Let's see what it did. All right, that's not terrible. I've seen it do a lot worse. So you could do that. If it's pretty small like that, that's probably doable. But anyway, after it fixes it, you can take a look to see if you like it, and you can go back and forth. You can view the original model. You can click back to the fixed, and if you don't like it, you don't need to keep it. So you can either download the fixes, and if you like them, you can save and exit, or you can just go back. So loose shells, I'm going to click on that, see what that means. So I've seen this problem before. So remember when we created the feet, we took the two eggs, we cut them in half, we squashed them, and then we put them together. Now, we didn't get them close enough together. They probably needed to overlap each other a little bit, so we needed to push them down into each other a little more. And it's picking up this teeny little bit of space, and it thinks it's not one piece, so it needs to be welded, and this is what it wants to do. It wants to weld it this way. You do not want that. So anyway, these are some of the things that you might be getting with your model in the sandstone. So a fix for that would be to go back into Tinkercad, ungroup these so that they're two separate pieces, and take the top and just push it down just a little bit, like just a couple of millimeters. And then you can, once you do that, then you can take it back into Shapeways, and it should be fixed, because that's how I've fixed stuff in the past when this happens. All right, so let's go back to model. It's up here in the left corner. Okay, we're going to go back down to sandstone. So, and then the other thing I want to say, the main obvious reason why we don't want to keep going further, even though this passed sandstone, is $264. Not interested in paying that amount of money for a little toy. So we can definitely fix that. We can go back, we can hollow him out, and we can shrink him down quite a bit. So that's what we're going to do next. All right. So in the next lesson, we'll make these fixes. Thanks for watching, and if you like what you see and you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe.